Marina Aizen is one of Argentina's most distinguished journalists. She's been closely associated with Clarín, the country's largest newspaper, and her environmental reporting has won a number of important awards. She recently completed a book on the Mendoza case, the remarkable legal action that led the Supreme Court of Argentina to order a comprehensive rehabilitation program for the Riachuelo River in Buenos Aires, once identified as the 8th most polluted spot on the planet. But not anymore.
I thought pollution was important, but as I went through the investigation, the research of my book, I realized that pollution wasn't that important. That the important part was the relationship of the people in the Riachuelo basin, how the Riachuelo the pollution was a reflection of all the bad things about the economic, political, and environmental system. It wasn't so much about the quality of the water. It was about how people treated each other, and that was reflected in the water.
So, what were the thoughts that you thought were responsible for the problem? What kind of thinking?
I thought that there was a bunch of bad guys in all factories that were responsible for the problem, and as I later realized that wasn't exactly true. It was the whole historical approach of society towards the river that made the problem big. Of course, tanneries are not the only one to blame in the Riachuelo pollution. There are at least 3 types of industries that have to do with this situation. First are the slaughterhouses that were also dumping their byproducts on the water. Then you have, I don't know how you call it in English, galvanoplastias,
Petrochemicals?
No, not petrochemicals. It's those industries that, work with metals. They do the zinc.
Okay, yes.
I don't know how they call it in English.
Yes. Kind of metal bashing industries,
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
And
chrome plating, that kind of thing.
You have many small of those industries, and they go dump the products, plume, mercury, zinc, whatever you want to think of, into the waterways, and of course the tanneries.
And then further upriver, there's the agricultural runoff, right? At the headwaters, more towards the headwaters.
Yeah. You have to think of the river, that the river is like the tree, like the tree, and then you have these branches, coming off the trees. All these creeks feed the main waterway. Small creeks, 200 creeks, more than 200 creeks. So you start polluting the creeks, you pollute the main river, and you have a whole metropolitan area settled down around these creeks. And that's another thing that I have not thought about when I started my investigation, that it was not a river, it was a metropolitan area.
A metropolitan
area.
Yes.
I wouldn't know where I live if I had not done this research. It's like Antolin said this morning, by looking into the Riachuelo, you realize about the whole basin, that you never thought of that in that terms before. And that was so fascinating to me to discover all the human processes that go around the basin. The sewage system, the garbage, the poor, the rich, how companies have been polluting the river. So it's a very complicated combo that was fascinating to discover.
Almost like discovering that there's a biological kingdom, as it were, or a biological jurisdiction.
Yes.
And it's all cut up with human jurisdiction, so you don't actually see the whole, right?
Exactly, and all the subtle relationships, hidden relationships between people, among people.
Marina Aizen, award-winning journalist and author of Contaminados, a book on the cleanup of Argentina's Riachuelo River. Alas, it hasn't been translated into English. But if you find that story as interesting as I do, you may want to look at our interview with Daniel Salaberry, the lawyer who argued the Mendoza case before the Supreme Court of Argentina and won. We also have an interview with Pablo Fiallo, the young Ecuadorian lawyer who won a $9.5 billion judgment against Chevron for its contamination of 1,500 square miles of the Amazon rainforest. You might also enjoy our interviews with David Boyd and Cormac Cullinan, both of whom have written books about your right to a healthy environment and Mother Nature's right to be respected and protected. For the Green Interview, I'm Silver Donald Cameron. Thanks for watching.